Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are live in this. It's by the way, it's almost already mid-March. Like this comes out, it's gonna be like the end of March or the middle of March, and we're gonna be almost in April, and that means Josh, next week is our one of our favorite moments on the show, which is when we bust our own brackets. Yeah, that'll be coming up. But we have a lot to talk about, especially draft stuff this week. But before we get into it, I know I've been enjoying this nice weather we've had here in Hungary and football, and I played in a staff student basketball game last night. I can account, Josh, that I went 0 for 4, shot terrible, but I had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, I had a steal, and I was the true comic act because they mic'd me up. They mic'd me up for the game, so it was like NBA where you have the guy on mics. Every time I'm standing, the players like, "Hey, I'm mic'd up." Just letting you know, I'm mic'd up, and it was epic. I absolutely enjoyed it. I played absolute terrible shooting the ball, but hey, I'm playing old man game now. But anyways, that was my few days. How have you been doing, man? How's it going?
Yeah, I had this last weekend off of work, and three of the last 4 days have all been over 60 degrees, so it's been beautiful
Oh,
over here.
beautiful. Oh,
Actually, set up a nice new moment for some personal news for everyone that may just know
what?
me from the baseline and not from being a friend or
Life?
family member. Proposed to my girlfriend Taylor over the weekend, and she
Whoa.
said yes, so now we are
Oh,
engaged officially.
look at
Yeah,
you.
just wasn't a day that I had circled on my calendar. As I was telling Ben, it just kind of everything fell into place for it to be a perfect time to do it. So went
Uh,
ahead and made it happen.
a winner. Winner. You're winning more than Florida football.
Winning a
I'm
lot more than
sorry.
Florida football. Yeah, I still don't have a ring yet on my finger, but
It's
eventually I
more,
think I
it's more
will,
than what.
and then I'll have more than what Florida has won in the last decade on the football field at least. They of
That's
course got the
true.
basketball one
That
from
is true.
last March, I believe. And yeah, we were going to talk about just some other happenings around the sports world, but then realized that with brackets
Oh
getting
yeah, we got
launched
to
this
focus on
Sunday, we were
brackets,
going to have to
man.
do that. It's like we got to do mock draft 2.0 this week.
Exactly.
And NFL free agency is
Which
opened
is so
up.
annoying.
So there's plenty
I hate it.
that has happened that's going to affect
Yeah.
our first draft at least. But I wanted
Yeah.
to, before we got into the draft,
Yeah.
Ben,
Of
just
course.
discuss some of the moves that are
Yeah.
going to
Yeah. Yeah.
impact
Yeah.
our division, the AFC North. And the biggest one, of
Which
course, was Maxx Crosby going over to the
poor,
Ravens.
poor Burrow. That's all I gotta say. Poor
Poor
Burrow.
Joe Burrow is what everybody's saying. Yeah, the Ravens were generous enough to give the Raiders two first-round picks, which includes the 14th pick this year.
Yeah.
Now that they have in addition to the first, but Max will come over to the Ravens in a division now that has pass rushers like T.J. Watt and Miles Garrett in it already. And the
Poor Joe
Bengals still
Burrow.
haven't made any moves on the offensive line, Ben.
Nope.
So it still looks like Joe is not going to have the greatest time. Having to face each of those guys twice a year is going to be a bummer. But just what was your reaction
Yeah.
like? There
Yeah.
was some buzz about Max getting traded last year and of course this year. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how serious it all
Yeah.
was. Sometimes sending two first rounders works out for teams, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Definitely a tall or a tall amount to give up for somebody like
hmm
that. But yeah, what was your initial reaction? Do you
Uh,
like the trade?
I mean,
Would
I
you have
like
done
that.
it?
Two first rounds is rich though, man. And for a guy who's what, he's pushing 28, 29. I This is my only concern, I guess, is when you use to which by the way, this is what's weird about it is that the Ravens never do this. The Ravens never use their draft capital to get a veteran. They don't. That tells me two things. One, they're desperate to stay relevant and to stay in that hunt because I think whether we like it or not, the Browns, their defense is always going to be good. Their offense hopefully gets better with some new coaching staff. The Steelers are going to be good as well, and the Bengals are always going to have a good offense. So I almost wonder if this was like it not didn't feel like a desperate move, but it kind of did. I don't know if you're trying to reset the whole, with John Harbaugh leaving, you're trying to reset what you're going to do. Um, but again, I mean, if there's been one thing that's been missing from the Ravens defense over the last couple of years, it's been a true pass rush. So I do like the move in general. I just don't know if they gave up too much. If you're the Raiders, I mean, you gotta. Oh my goodness. I mean, I think you'll take. Okay, yeah, we're going to need a rebuild anyways. We might as well get some capital while we can. You have a first round. You have two first round picks within the top 15. That's amazing. You can trade up that 14th pick and get up even in the top 10 if you wanted to. So yeah, man, I like the trade. I mean, obviously as a Browns fan, I'm just like, great, another pass rusher to deal with. But also being a Browns fan and seeing the Bengals have to go through suffering, I cannot wait for them to have to face three of the best pass rushers in the game. And by the way, that's 6 times a year, which means Joe Burrow is for sure going to retire after next year.
Maybe. For everybody wondering, Maxx Crosby, the last 4 seasons, has had 12 and a half sacks, 14 and a half sacks. In a season, he had just 12 games, 7.5 sacks. And then last year in 15 games, got 10 sacks. This is also territory the Raiders aren't strangers to because they also traded Khalil
No, yeah,
Mack
yeah,
for 2 first rounders
yeah,
also. But like you said with the Ravens, they've made some small moves here and there, like to get guys. I think Elvis Dumervil has been a Raven. Marcus Peters has been brought in, but they do a really good job of building through the
yeah,
draft. Uh, Also within the division, Michael Pittman used to be a Colt. Now he's a Steeler.
yeah.
We know that Aaron Rodgers prefers to work with veterans, and the Steelers were possibly going to draft a receiver in the first round. Maybe they won't use that 21st pick to do so now, but just as a duo, I really do love DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. That's in that division, it's got to be obviously
Mhm.
second best behind Jamar and T, of course. But yeah, I thought that they did that to maybe make Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers happy. But
Uh,
yeah, Michael Pittman is a Pittsburgh
uh,
Steeler now.
I think the weirdest move for me was, we'll go back to the Raiders, is paying a center 24 million a year is just mind-boggling to me. So basically they took two Ravens things in a sense. You got first rounders and you get Lindenbaum. I- Dude, is it crazy to you that it was 26 million a year for a center? That just
There's
seems
been a lot of
wild to me.
contracts I've looked at, and I'm like, there's a lot of guys getting $20 million a year now that
Yeah. And
I
I
don't know if that's just where the market
and
and the cap are at now, but it's
yeah,
just some of
and
it's puzzling me.
I believe that there was like 6 or 7 records sent with free agent contracts. I know the richest punter now was set this offseason, making like 4.5 million. I believe it was the non QB is now at 30 some million, the highest ever, cornerback contract, the highest ever running
Yeah, I
back
think McDuffie
contract.
got that
Running back, I
best
mean
corner.
now, so for me, I don't know, man. I guess for me, I wonder if these teams are just like, they're so desperate to find their guy. I mean, I kind of like what the Browns have done. They've filled in parts that they need. They get out there and get a guard. They re-sign another guard that they had last year, if I remember, forget his name. But then you go out, obviously lose Devin Bush, which I was kind of mad about that. But you replace him with an former All Pro from the Jets. Again, you're doing what you can in that situation and what you got. But yeah, there's some teams that haven't done much so far. I mean, obviously Tua has been released for 99 million in dead cap, which I think is just hilarious.
Another record, and he
And then
gets to
Malik
be Kevin
Willis,
Stefanski's new quarterback, which
which
I'm just
I
kind of laughing
love.
about that.
Why? Because he's a lefty. He's a lefty that obviously is so mobile, like just like Dylan Gabriel. I'm interested to see how that goes.
A little
Um,
bit of that, but
yeah,
mostly just because like Atlanta and everybody was saying that Kevin, he's going to prove that it was Cleveland that was the real problem and not just him, and
right.
his system's
Yeah,
going to, prove to be true or whatever. And not like it would have been any better with
they have two
Cousins and
lefties, by
Michael
the way. By
Penix
the way.
throwing, but yeah, Tua over there now. I
They
just
have
thought
two
that was
lefties,
funny. Yeah,
and they
he's
had a
over there
former
now.
greatest lefty, which was Michael Vick. But I look at the Dolphins; they got Malik Willis, which I think I was kind of hoping the Browns would have gotten him. I kind of liked what I saw with him, but again, I understand that the Browns are going to shell over 60 million. They've already spent a lot of money,
Yeah.
but I think the
I did
Dolphins
not
made a good move.
I did not see the money that's going to Malik, but I knew that he was going to get a lot because everybody was going to be trying to find the next Sam
Yeah,
Darnold after the Seahawks had success with him, and Malik was viewed as maybe that next Sam Darnold.
yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of the moves or a handful
Oh,
of moves,
Geno
like you
Smith, by
said,
the way, Geno Smith going back to the Jets, which I think is ironic today.
back to the Jets. Now Justin Fields will have a fire lit under him because he's got some competition now, and the starting job isn't a
Oh,
guarantee anymore. But yeah, just to
right,
wrap it up, yeah, Zion Johnson, former guard from the Chargers, is now with the Browns, and I thought that was a lot of money to spend on him.
good move though.
If you want, I guess the upside, his games were a lot better when he was playing against or next to his good tackles. Like right now, he's just kind of the best of the worst offensive line in the NFL last year, which may not be saying much, but he did better when he had better tackles around him. So maybe this
Mike
guy they
Evans, by
got
the
from
way, Mike Evans
that's
going to
one
the
more. Yeah,
49ers.
that's one more. Mike. I don't know. Historically, it seems like receivers after they turn 30, 31 start to fall off a cliff, but Mike's been a model consistency until last year when he finally had that 1,000 yard streak snapped. I think he's averaging about 20 million a year. I think for maybe the first year, year and a half, it could be good, a good pairing with Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle in the pass game. But I think that last year it's not gonna be so
Yeah.
great. But
Well, the Colts also signed their wide receiver Pierce to a $130 million deal, which I
Pierce
think is
is
a
gonna
little
stay.
rich.
Yeah, yeah.
But then yeah. But
We'll
anyways,
go ahead and if any of our picks got
yeah, yeah, yeah.
changed based on free agency, we'll go ahead and highlight that. We'll go ahead and start that right now. If you guys want to see our mock 1.0, Ben has it posted
Yeah,
on our
they are. Yeah,
Instagram. You can also check our episode from 2 weeks ago if you want to hear a breakdown of how we got those picks. Today, just for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and go over all the picks that have stayed the same and just kind of quickly go over them again. But we'll go into more detail about maybe why a pick has changed since then because
yeah,
of a new signing or a new trade or injury or something like that that's happened.
yeah,
So I can go ahead and say, Ben, starting on my end, that
yeah.
nothing's changing in my first four picks. That would be Fernando Mendoza to the Raiders. Again, I don't think that he's a generational quarterback or anything special, but the best quarterback in this class, and the Raiders need one. So I believe that that's going to be who's going to be first overall. I'm just going on record saying that. I don't think Mendoza is going to be all that great in the NFL. I think that it's just an opportunistic draft with not much quarterbacks. Arvell Reese is staying with the Jets. I know they've added some guys to the defense, which is good. But still, this is going to be, that defensive anchor for
Hmm.
them for the long term. I think Demario Davis got signed. He's 37. That will be a nice veteran to pair with him. Francis Mauigoa, I have him sticking around third overall to the Cardinals, getting that offensive line boosted, uh, protecting whoever the quarterback might be. It looks like it's not going to be Kyler Murray anymore, but another tackle to pair with Paris Johnson. The Titans, I flirted around with this one, Ben, because uh, they did make a signing to the defensive line. They got that one guy from the Broncos. Uh, but even still, I was thinking, could this be a spot for Jeremiah Love? Could this be a spot for Carnell Tate to go? Get Cam Ward some weapons around him. I'm sticking with David Bailey on the edge, though. Just a defensive minded head coach with Robert Salah. He kind of built a really solid defense when he was the head coach of the Jets, and I think he'll stick with that strategy for now. Where my pick changes finally is at five with the Giants. So I had Caleb Downs over here. I think he's going to be one of the most sure things in this draft. However, after seeing how the combine went, Ben, and then with the news coming out about Caleb's knee, it wouldn't shock me here to see Sonny Styles go fifth overall. That was a guy that I had, I believe, going 12th to Dallas in Mach 1.0, but he had maybe the most dominant combine by a linebacker ever before, just with the speed and the
Hmm.
jumps and the length and even the production in college was there. He's a guy that's, of course, played safety and linebacker in college. You can move him all around. The Giants could, and so I'm switching that pick right there from Caleb Downs to his teammate Sonny Styles. I just think that's going to be a guy that's going to be hard to pass up for some of these first few teams that need some defensive help. So that's where my draft changes first. Where's your draft change? Or do you have any reaction to Styles going there instead of Downs now?
Uh, we'll get to it.
All
Um,
right.
so I've made a couple adjustments in the top five. First two stay the same for me. Fernando Mendoza, he's number one. Arvell Reese two. I think Arvell is just overall the best. I think overall freak, as I like to say, in the class. Um, and then I originally had Spencer Fanu. He did not test great at the combine. He's actually slipped a lot down a lot of like a lot of people were saying he's in the 15 to 20 range. But again, I doubt that because he's a good tackle. But I went with what you had, and I put Moago up there from Miami at three. I just think he had probably the most consistent. I think the look of him, and after I looked at film again of him, I just think he's kind of the
That's
guy
just a
that
guy since
fits.
he was a true freshman. I was
Yeah,
like, he's going to be playing on
yeah.
Sundays.
And then this is where I start changing things up because obviously I originally had Ruben Bain. I still think Ruben Bain goes in the top 10 for sure. But I'm actually going to go, here's where I'm going to go Sonny Styles. I think Sonny Styles, you're talking about Robert Salah, who is a defensive mind, and you don't have Arvell Reese, right? I'm thinking of Robert Salah. He's probably, man, if I was still with the Jets, I'd take Arvell Reese.
Hmm.
Sonny Styles, as a lot of people have brought up, and you watch his film on the combine, and a lot of people said he could play the same way Arvel Reese is. It's just Arvel Reese was a freak to look at, but Sonny Styles can do the same thing. He can play on the edge. He can play in the middle. And so I think Sonny Styles is a great fit for the Titans. I think he gives you that. Yeah, you could go receiver here. I feel like it's a little high to go receiver right now with the talent that's there. And I think this gives you a great item to work with on the defense. So that's where I got Sonny Styles. And then five, I know they don't need an edge, but when Ruben Bain's sitting there, I feel like you got to. It's kind of like the whole Caleb Downs thing or Arvell Reese. Like you just got to take the guy that you think is best. We've both talked about how this is the draft is going to be like, and so for me, I have Ruben Bain Jr. Getting drafted here at number five, and then I'll just say my next one. Next one stays the same. And that's going to be Carnell Tate to the Browns. I just right now I feel like that's kind of where they're leaning. I don't know this. I just feel like they are.
Yeah, to the Browns point, I got them staying with Spencer Fano right here, although Monroe Freeland does seem to be moving up the rankings pretty quick, and he does move up in my draft from where I had him going late first round. We'll see how far Fano goes, but that's a guy that Kyle Whittingham said is the best tackle that he's seen come through Utah, and they've had a lot of good ones come through there. So I'll have to think about that one more, but I got Fano staying at six with the Browns. I still got Mansour Delane staying with the Commanders at seven, especially with Marshawn Lattimore getting cut. They're trying to free up some cap space there. And the secondary was one of the worst in the NFL last year. You got Mike Sanders still and, a bunch of other guys. Basically, it needs to get better. Washington's defense needs to get better. So Mansour Delane, probably the best corner in this draft out of LSU, stays there. I still got Carnell Tate staying at eight with the Saints. Uh, they are, like I said, losing Demario Davis. They could use some picks on the defense. If Sonny Styles happens to be here, that could be a spot. But like I said, I think he's going to go early. Caleb Downs could also be a guy that goes here. The Saints and Ohio State seem to have a nice
That's true.
relationship there where they trust Buckeyes. That could be a guy there. But I'm still sticking with the Buckeye Carnell Tate going right here and getting Tyler Shuck another weapon. They did add ETN at running back. We don't know if Kamara is going to stay now or not. So that's something to keep an eye on. Uh, the Chiefs, they added Kenneth Walker. So that was a team that also was in the mix to get Jeremiah Love, but I still got them sticking with Ruben Bain Jr. there for now to boost that defensive line. I think their top sack guy last year only got like 6.5 or seven of them. That needs to improve. The defense overall is going to need to because they lost both corners now. One of them, of course, they traded to the Rams and Trent McDuffie, and then the other guy with him headed over there. So there's not really many corners right now that you could take at this spot that would maybe be justified at ninth. Maybe they could trade down and go ahead and get Avian Terrell here. But I just think Ruben Bain, go ahead and boost the pass rush. Worry about the secondary maybe later. And then this is where another pick changes for me. The Bengals at 10. I had Jermod McCoy going here, and of course he's got the ACL, the knee issue, the concerns there. But now that Caleb Downs is here, I say they go ahead and address their secondary right here. They added Boy Mafe, the edge from
Yeah.
the Seahawks, to get on that pass rush. So I don't think they really need to go ahead and address the defensive line with that 10th pick necessarily. The secondary needs to get better, bottom line. And Caleb Downs is here, and this is as far as he falls, I think. So that's the second change right there for me is Caleb Downs is at 10 to the Bengals now. Basically just Sonny Styles and uh, is going 5 now. Caleb Downs is going 10 now instead of McCoy.
Yeah, and I like a lot of those. And actually, we're kind of think of the same pace here. For me, at five, I said was roommate. At six, I said was the Browns. I think seven, I stay with David Bailey. Again, I think he could go in the top five, but I like him here. They need help on the edge. Um, you always need extra pass rushers, I believe. Jordan Tyson, I like the fit here with the Saints. They need receiver help. Carnell Tate's gone, so you take the next best available. And I'm going to go interesting here with the Chiefs, and I'm actually going to say Spencer Fanu's still on my board. And so I was thinking about what do they need to protect Mahomes? I think they do need to maybe get some offensive line help. That's been kind of what they've been also saying that they might need. I've also seen tight end. I was very tempted to put Sadiq here. I was
Mm.
very tempted. Obviously, we know Kelsey's coming back, but you need that replacement for when he's gone. But I'm going to stick to Spencer Fanu here, and then I'm going to agree with you on Caleb Downs, and I changed it here. And obviously, I originally had Caleb Downs. I believe had him going, 9 to the Chiefs. I just dropped him down one spot, and he's going to go to the Bengals. As much as I hate it, and I hated it the first time I did it, and I hate it this much Just hearing my brother cheer at this moment. So I'm gonna go Caleb Downs there at 10.
All right, so my pick 10 changed. Actually, pick 10 through 16 are all changes.
Look at you. Which, by the way, you never change. By the way, you don't change nearly as much between one and two. Like you know, like normally you do two to three. You're very punch. You're kind of constant usually for the
Yeah.
first two.
Well, it's like the one key domino to fall here was Caleb Downs falling to 10, so that just kind of changed everything
Yeah,
for me from here.
yeah,
So I'll just go ahead and explain why I made changes here. Dolphins are at 11, and initially I had them taking Vega Ione, the guard from
yeah,
Penn State. But like I said, Monroe Freeling has been moving up the ranks. He's one of the tackles from Georgia that's getting a lot of noise. Had a really good combine, and so I think that maybe the Dolphins address their offensive line with now Freeling here at 11. But again, Ione, great prospect in his own right, but Freeland just seems to be moving up the boards, and so I got the Dolphins taking him at 11 now. Cowboys are at 12. Nobody passed the ball better uh, against the defense than the Cowboys. They had the worst pass D last year. They allowed the most passing yards. And this is where I got Jermon McCoy going, just a couple spots down. They go ahead and dress the secondary here. They did trade for Rashawn Gary. They sent a first and I think some other pieces to go ahead and get him. So there's your pass rush help right there, but you really need some help on the back end, and that's where I think they go ahead and take McCoy at 12. Uh, the Rams are now at 13, and I had Kenyon Sadiq not in the first round. I knew that he was a physical specimen more than like a production guy at Oregon, although he had some decent numbers. And then you had the combine that he did, Ben, and he ran a 4.3940, fastest tight end, I think, to come through ever. I did have the Rams taking a receiver before with Makai Lemon, even though they got Devonta Adams and Puka Nacua. I was like, you got to capitalize while you got Matt Stafford, on the roster right now. They can still do that by getting Sadiq at tight end instead of adding a third receiver here to the room. You still get a solid pass rush or pass catcher here, but Sadiq's also an incredible blocker. Like he's not just a guy that's going to catch passes, not like a Kyle Pitts type prospect, but he's a guy that can also block, and I think is just going to be a nice addition to that offense. And so because of that, of course, that's going to affect the receiver picks later. But the Raiders got 14. I'm still sticking with Cassius Howe being the pick right here to them because, of course, Maxx Crosby's gone. I think this is the best available edge that you got in my draft right now. There's some guys like Keldrick Falk that got maybe the size, but Cassius Howe has the production. And I think right now I'd weigh that a little bit more importantly. At 15, this is the Bucks, of course, losing Mike Evans. I have them now replacing him with Jordan Tyson. And Makai Lemon actually went ahead of Tyson in my last mock, but Makai Lemon and Mecca Ibuka are both 5'11", I believe. I think you need a bigger receiver to go here. And so that's why Tyson gets the edge and why Makai Lemon now goes 16th to the Jets, who were previously taking Jordan Tyson. But you get yourself another receiver now for whether it's Geno Smith or Justin Fields or Ty Simpson. Who knows what they're going to do at quarterback for the future. But yeah, they get another weapon. They address the defense on pick 2. They address the offense on pick 16. So 10 through 16, all different guys for different reasons right here.
yeah. No, I like what you did there. This is where I just started getting weird and funky. Originally, I had Mastor Delane here, and again, I think this would be a great pick for the Dolphins. But there's one thing I know about the Dolphins: they love speed, and so I'm saying this is where Kenyon Sadiq goes. I looked at their roster. Okay, you know who was on their tight ends for last year?
I
We
think
have
Darren Waller was
J-
their leading tight end, right?
Jalen Connors, Greg Dulcich, Julian Hill, Darren Waller, and Cole Turner. I'm sorry. You getting rid of Tyreek Hill. You really have maybe Jalen Waddle. That's really all you got, I think, real skill guys. Dude, I think if you're sitting here with Sadiq there, is a guy who could probably play in the slot if you needed him to, maybe outside if you needed him to. I just think Kenny and Sadiq here is just, I think it's a great pick. If I was sitting there as the general manager, I'm like, why not get some weapons for Malik Willis? And so I think Ken did Sadiq is a great spot there. Um, and then I had at 12, this is where it was interesting for me because I think this would be the perfect spot if you had Arvell Reese or if you had Sonny Styles. I think this is a perfect spot for them, but you don't. And this is where I decided I originally I had them going offensive line. And I think that's very possible to go offensive line. But I think here's where you go Masor Delane. I think he's still sitting on the board. I think if you're the Cowboys, what's the one thing you've struggled with at times is you just get burnt. And I think you
Big
got to
time.
find a way to slow it down. And so for me, that's where I went with that. And then I came to the Rams. Now, Sadiq would have been a great pick here. I liked that pick by you, but I just felt the Dolphins needed it more. So now I'm sitting here going, okay, what do? You have Jeremiah Love, who's still sitting there. You have Caleb Lamu from Utah. You have Makai Lemon. You have Monroe Freeling. You have a lot of these guys you could choose from. So what do I do? I would decide to go with the Makai Lemon route. I think Makai Lemon gives you a guy who can give you almost like that third guy to ease the pressure off the other two, right? He gives you that slot. He kind of gives you what Emeka Buka did this year for the Bucks when Evans was healthy, right? He gave you that third option. That's when he was really, really good. Um, and then this was going to be the guard pick, but since it's now back to the Raiders, um, I think there's two things you go with this. You can either go edge, like you said, you replace Crosby. I'm actually going to go offensive line because I think you have a new quarterback. You need to protect him. And like you said, Monroe Freeland has been just booming the boards, booming up the boards. And so for me, Monroe Freeland is going to go here to the Raiders. You get your starting quarterback, you get a starting tackle, and you really cover, I think, two strong points to fundamentally change that offense. And now I'm looking at the Buccaneers. Now, again, a tight end would have been a great spot for them, a guy that is bigger. But see, at this point, wide receiver wise, I don't really have a lot of receivers left. All I
Yeah,
have
you got
is
Tyson Lemon and Tate
Omar,
all off the board
yeah,
now.
Omar Cooper, and I have Casey Concepcion. Both guys are tiny, right? They're not, I mean, Omar Cooper's decently big, but I don't think he's still not, that's too high for me, right?
Right.
This is where I was trying to figure out where do you go, and I'm just going to stick with what I originally did, and that's Peter Woods. I think you go defensive tackle, you take some defensive help there inside. You can always get, I think, a decent receiver in the second round if you want to go that route. Now we're back to the Jets. All right, do I do Ty Simpson here? I thought about it because I think it's the New York Jets. They're going to do something stupid, as we both know. Originally, I went Makai Lemon here. Um, but I think they also need help on the edge as well. So I decided I'm gonna go with a an interesting pick. I'm gonna go Cassius Hal as well. Again, a guy who's not really high on people's boards, but I just love the production.
I don't get it. I
Um,
think he should be higher,
yeah.
man.
So I'm gonna go
Cassius Howell's
Cassius
not getting any
Hal
love.
at for the Jets there at 16. So a little bit of change in there from 10 through
Yeah.
16.
Yeah. The one pick that I think could go a lot of different routes is that 11 pick with the Dolphins. Like you said, Sadiq would fit a need. If Mansour Delane is there, that fits a need. Jamal McCoy would be available there for me with my draft. Yeah, Freeling, I like. The other one is the Raiders, of course. I like the offensive line route. I thought about going that route. Had they not gotten Linderbaum and I think they added somebody else, I might have
They
gone
had like a
offensive line
tackle, I
here.
think. Yeah, I think they went
Yeah,
tackle.
you get a quarterback and then you get some protection. Like that's a nice punch right there. But Max Crosby's just too big of a loss that I think you just got to address that need right
Yeah.
there. And uh, that was the reasons that I went with some of those guys there. So that takes us to pick 17. And our suspicions about Taylor Decker being out the door ended up being true. So Caden Proctor is staying as my 17th pick right here to the Lions. A guy that can play tackle, a guy that I believe can play guard also. That gives him some flexibility on that offensive line. That pick stays the same. The Vikings, I still got them taking Jeremiah Love right here. And I think Love, like I've seen him going high. I've seen him going like four to the Titans. I've seen him going like eighth to the Saints, which to me doesn't make sense, especially with ETN being in the building now. I've seen him going to even the Chiefs before, but Kenneth Walker's over there now. So again, like he's a guy that most people on their big boards are saying is a top three player in this draft. But again, it's like running backs. We've seen some of the elite
What are you
ones
gonna
like
risk?
Genty. Yeah, like Genty's gone six before. Saquon Barkley's been second. I think that I was having this conversation the other day. I think Trent Richardson failing so bad for the Browns at third
It
overall,
scared
like
people.
scared teams for a decade of picking a running back that high ever
Yeah.
again. But I think we're back to being comfortable with that. And Jeremiah Love, I think, is more talent than 18th overall. But again, it's just like the teams that could have taken him, I think, are either filling that need or I mean, even the Lions, they added some running back depth with Pacheco to go with
Yeah.
Gibbs. So I don't know if that means that Montgomery's out the building and going somewhere else too. But love at
No,
18 for the
Montgomery
Vikings
did go
this.
somewhere else.
Oh, where'd he
Montgomery's
go?
down at Houston. He's down at Houston.
Houston now. Okay.
Yeah.
Love that for him. Uh, let's see, the Panthers, I still got them sticking with Peter Woods and making a nice duo there with Derek Brown at defensive tackle. Uh, if, however, Love does not go over here to 18, I think that'd be a nice fit for the Panthers too, because
Yeah.
I think Rico Dowdle is out the
He's
door
gone.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they haven't shied away from taking running backs early. Jonathan Stewart, Christian McCaffrey, I think
Yeah.
were, both first round picks for them. Uh, so the next change in my draft for me is Dallas here at 20. I got them going with Dylan Theinman right here. I had him going like late first round last time.
He's a
Uh,
freak, dude.
yeah. Uh,
White attack.
yeah, I love it. There's a handful of edge guys that they could go right here. Akeem Mesidor is one of those guys, of course. Keldrick Falk's another one. And I know that they're already addressing secondary with that 12th pick with McCoy, but he's a corner. You get a safety here with Steinman. And then you also, like I said, you already this offseason had Rashawn Gary to be on the edge. So I love the game plan right here that I have for Dallas of fixing the defense up and making it a little bit more difficult to pass on these guys with adding both pressure on the line and also some ball hawks in the secondary. So
Yeah.
17, 18, 19 stay the same from Mach 1.0. 20, I do have a change there. And Feynman shoots
Yeah.
up, I think, from previously 30th pick to 20th.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of thought here. And I'm with you here with the Lions. Originally I was thinking about going defense here, linebacker, safety, edge.
They've been wanting
But
another edge guy with
yeah,
Hutchinson for a while.
but I don't feel like there's one. I mean, Folk is there, Mesidor's there. I don't know if that's where they would go. And I think within my mock, I have Caleb Lomo, who is 10th really rated in most people's thought process of overall offensive prospects. And I'm just like, hey, you replace Taylor Decker. I love Taylor Decker, by the way, a tremendous pro. So you fix that there. Um, Now this is where I got interesting because originally I did have Jeremiah Love, and I thought about keeping him here. And after today, I debated with myself, and I said, no, I'm going to switch it up. And so I'm going to go Jermod McCoy here. He's still on my board. I think you need the one thing about the Vikings is I feel like they've been struggling at certain aspects, and I feel like the past defense has not been successful over the last couple of years. I think you get a guy who you can throw in there day one, and he can compete and be a guy for you. And then here at 19, this is where I had Sadiq before. So I had Sadiq already in my first round. Obviously, he's now up to the Dolphins. Now, what do? You know, you could talk about do they go like you did? You went DT, which I love that actually. I think that's a great. I didn't think about that until you said it. They could go corner, right? You have Avion Terrell there from Clemson. You have Thieneman. You have all those guys. But I'm going to go with you. And when you said it, and this is actually what I wrote down today, I'm going Jeremiah
Hmm.
Love. I love this. And when I saw their guy go today, sign somewhere else, I said this fits. This is like you have a young QB, young
Bryce Young
receivers.
entering year three, Ted McMillan entering year
Yeah.
two,
So
Jeremiah
you
Love entering year one.
Yes, it's a phenomenal fit. And then for me at 20, originally I had CJ Allen going here. I think it'd be a little bit more of a stretch now. He didn't do, for me, wasn't impressive enough to keep him where I had him. Um, and this is where I decided to go, and this might be ballsy, but I'm going double corner for the Cowboys in this first round, and I'm going Avion Terrell from Clemson. You go earlier, you get Mansour Delane, and now you get Terrell. You get two corners. I mean, I don't know how many teams have ever done two corners in first round, but to me, I just think you have to shore up that defense. And again, I don't know if there's an edge rusher that I feel like you can take at 20 personally.
Yeah. Yeah. On that note, I think the Falcons took two pass rushers last year, two edges in the first round.
Yeah.
So addressing the same position twice when you really need it isn't too unprecedented, but it still is kind of crazy to take two guys from the same position. But if you really need it, you really need it. If that's your need, that's the bottom line. And like you said, right now availability at edge, Falk He's like he's the physical guy, right? He doesn't really have the
Yeah.
production though.
Mesidor is a little
And Mesidor
undersized.
has the production, but he's got age, where it's like he's
Yeah.
25. It's like, is he gonna play just like he
Yeah.
has in the NFL right now? I don't know. I think they'll probably both go in the first round, though. I just don't like that for them at that spot. But going from pick 20, going to 21 now with the Steelers, now that Michael Pittman is in the building, and I think that Aaron Rodgers loves veterans more than rookies. Casey Concepcion's not going.
Where'd you get that from?
I think straight from his mouth.
Really?
So with Steelers, I got going with Avian Terrell right here, corner that I think can help the secondary for them. This would also actually be a nice spot for Jeremiah Love to go. We're finally getting into the chunk right here of teams that could maybe use a running back. I know Gainwell is out the building now, and Pittsburgh hasn't had like a true number one running back year after year for a while, and Love would be nice. But I think Terrell fits a little bit better of a need right here, so that pick changes. The Chargers pick also changes for me at 22, especially with Johnson signing with Cleveland. I think they go ahead and get Ione right here from or not Pittsburgh, Penn State. He falls far enough now at this point, and they're getting both their tackles back, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, and they're getting Ione to fill in right here at guard. And the offensive line is going to be strong again. Justin Herbert's going to have plenty of protection, and it's going to make the Chargers look real nice. Then at 23, that also changes. The Eagles, I had them going to offensive line, maybe filling Lane Johnson's eventual replacement, but Jalen Phillips is out the building, Ben. Nakobe Dean is out the
Yep.
building, and linebacker's looking like a big hole. So I think this is where CJ Allen goes now. I think from what I've been seeing, everybody thinks he's the best linebacker in the draft. Uh, the Eagles have had success, obviously, with taking guys from Georgia, getting linebackers in general, developing defensive players. So they get themselves another one right here with Allen. And that, of course, leaves us to the Browns at 24. And this is where I'll go ahead and stop with another pick change right here. I had them going with Denzel Boston before out of Washington, but now that Concepcion's available, that's a guy that I think we both like out of Texas A&M. A guy that isn't very big, but he's fast, he's explosive. Uh, a guy that I think can be a solid wide receiver for regardless of who's quarterback for now. Obviously, you want someone else that can be like more of an
Just don't be a
X.
Baylor situation again.
Yeah,
Don't
please
give
no,
us that.
please no. Concepcion, I think, is going to be a nice slot, and you can, make your argument, I guess, with is taking a slot receiver in the first round smart. We don't really have a true X right now in the building, but we know we need a receiver. Carnell Tate could be that guy that gets six, and then you don't have to, and then you can address offensive line later here because guys like Lomu and Blake Miller are still available at this point. Depending on how the draft could shake up, but. Yeah, Concepcion is one of the guys I liked in college, and I got Browns taking him at 24 here.
Yeah, for me, 21, I was originally had Concepcion, but again, I agree with you. Aaron Rodgers with a rookie, weird. That's probably why the Packers never drafted a guy for him. No, I look at the Steelers and I'm thinking, hey, Ohio State factory, right? And dare I say that at 21, and again, there's probably Caleb Banks is probably better than him. There's probably a few guys, I mean, viewed better than him. But dude, the production last year is just unreal for a guy who's like barely 6 foot tall, 325 pounds, and that's Caden McDonald. And I think you put him in there with veterans like another Buckeye legend. You have Sawyer, you have Hayward, you have two Buckeye legends, and you add a third one in there. It just makes sense. And as much as I hate to see the Steelers get a Buckeye, it just fits that kind of culture. Again, Mike Tomlin's not there. I know he loves Buckeyes, but still, I think it's the same kind of culture still there. I think McCarthy will still like that. And then I agree with you here on here at the Chargers. I think it's this might be one of the most obvious picks that will happen as long as he doesn't go ahead of them. Is the Chargers getting Ione from Penn State? Do you agree with me on that? Like this seems like the most obvious pick out of the rest of the draft.
I think it could be. Khalil Mack did get retained. That was a
Yeah,
position that was being discussed. It was, defensive line right there. But yeah, we know the kind of coach that Jim Harbaugh is.
yeah,
He loves his offensive line, the big wall up front to block for the
yeah.
run game and give his quarterback time to throw. So yeah, I think it's a nice little
And
match made in heaven right
here's
there.
here's one that's interesting for you. Blankenship from the Eagles is gone, right? He was an undrafted free agent. Him and what's the other guy, a white guy's name? Cornerback.
Cooper
Um,
DeJean.
yeah, Cooper DeJean. those two guys became great friends, but you lose a white safety. He goes to Houston. So I said,
And now
why
you're replacing
not
with a new white safety.
replace with a new white safety, keep the
Yes.
white attack ahead? And
Yes.
that's Dylan Thieneman going to the Eagles. I have two friends at school that I teach with that are Eagles fans. They'll be very happy they got a white attack still going. But Dylan Thieneman, he's a freak athlete. Ohio State almost got him in the portal when he transferred from Purdue. He was down to Ohio State and Oregon. Imagine that. Caleb Downs and Dylan Thieneman on the backside. Can you imagine what that would have been like? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
If only. Then the Browns, and I have Caden Proctor still here, and this is where he goes. I keep that the same from what I did earlier, and so yeah, so not too much change, but enough to kind of discuss a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so that's the Bears at 25 now. I still have them taking Caden McDonald right here. They need to do something to stop that run D. They had one of the best pass Ds. They had one of the worst run Ds. So get you a run stopper in the middle there. I'm curious what they're setting up for this offseason, Ben, because they're freeing up a lot of cap space. They've cut some of their
Yeah.
guys on defense that have made me scratch my head because they were pretty solid guys. Like I think Edmonds got cut and he's gone, and there's a
Yeah.
couple others. I was like, that's interesting. But yeah, all the more reason to address defense here with McDonald. And that takes to the Bills at 26, who traded for DJ Moore, maybe gave up a little too much with the second round
A
pick
little
there,
bit.
but was a guy, or at least the Bills were a team that receiver could have been something that they go with right here. But uh, even before, I was like, they need a run stop because, like the Bears, they had one of the worst run Ds last year. And so this is where Lee Hunter from Texas Tech is staying for me also. Hunter had a great combine, though. I could see him going as high as 19 to Carolina if they would choose to do that. But we'll see. Right now, I still got Hunter at 26 to the Bills. 49ers pick's going to change. I had Freeland going right here before, obviously going much higher now. But Caleb Lomu, who was going to go to the Eagles in Mach 1.0, now falls to the 49ers here in Mach 2.0. And 49ers, same mindset, looking for Trent Williams' eventual replacement, someone that can be some offensive line
Mhm.
depth, some protection for Brock Purdy. That takes to the Texans, who are at 28, and they need to fill in some offensive line. Of course, they lost some of them this offseason already. You got Montgomery run up the middle, and CJ needs some protection, man. So Blake Miller, tackle, still going right here, I believe. I think this is where I had him last time too, at 28 to the Texans. Could be wrong, but either way, the last tackle in this draft that I really feel like could be a first round player. And then 29, I'll go ahead and stop right here. The Chiefs, they need some secondary help, and there's not really many corners that they could take here. So I still got them addressing the secondary in general, though, with Emmanuel McNeil Warren, that safety from Toledo. Again, if there's another corner they can get in free agency, hopefully they find him, but they definitely need some help in that secondary. And so, not a corner,
Yeah.
but a safety is what I got them going with right here at 29. Previously the Rams pick, now the
Well,
Chiefs pick.
25, I have again, I went Caleb McDonald early, decided not to this time, but I did go stick with D tackle. I'm gonna go Caleb Banks from Florida, your Florida Gators, 6'6", 330 pound, massive human. Put him in the middle, see what he does damage wise. And this is where I was interested with this because I don't really know where I was going with the Bills because they traded for a receiver. Maybe do they still get a receiver? I still have like a couple good guys on the board receiver wise. Um, I'm actually going to go edge here. I think it's the safest pick, and I'm going to go Mesidor here. I think it's just a safe pick. You're not risking anything with that one. Then we got the 49ers, which I don't know what the 49ers are doing. I mean, they've traded for Evans or signed Evans and traded for him. Signed him. Could go edge. I'm just going to go tackle here. I still got a few tackles on the board. Um, and I'm going to go, say this last name, Max ENIAC. I can never say that properly, so I'm not even going to try. I'm
I
just
know
going to
what
call
you're
him
talking
Max.
about.
Just going to call him Max. Just going to call him Max. It's going to be easier. So I'm going to go Max there. Again, he's doing okay, I think, in most people's mocks. So this is, I don't think, too
Yeah,
of a
he's in the
stretch.
first round for some people's.
Yeah, and then I agree with you on the Texans as my man CJ Stroud just needs to get protection. And so for me, this is easy. Blake Miller, I'm with you. He goes 28. Um, I think it's a great fit there. It's a tackle. You can get him late in the round. You're not, it's a pick that you can do that with. And then we're back to the Chiefs. And I said, what do the Chiefs do? Because earlier I had them taking Spencer Fanu, so I don't feel like they go back to back linemen. I don't think they would do that. They might. But what I do think you do here is there's no tight end available really. I mean, Oscar Delp is the next guy that I would really put up there, but that's a stretch, right? He's more like a third round guy. You need some help defensively. There's not really corners up there that I see that really fit. Um, so I'm going to go with Emmanuel McNeil Warren from Toledo. Yes, Toledo, Ohio kid or Ohio school. I think it's a safety. I just feel like they need help in the secondary. And so that gives you, they lost one to the Bengals. So I think you have to replace that. And I think that's what you get there at pick 29.
All right, that leaves us with 30, 31, 32, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Seahawks. And I'll go ahead and say that right here, I got three edge guys going back to back to back. The Broncos, like I said earlier, lost some depth on the defensive line, so they replaced that with Akeem Mesidor. Probably a guy that's going to go in the first round, like I said, has the production. He's just a little older. Right now, Denver is starting to get into a win now mode. I think that getting Mesidor over a project like Falk would be a better idea for them. Falk's actually where I got the Patriots going. Work with a guy like Mike Vrabel. I love that coach and how he gets like seemingly the most out of the least, and also just really good developmental program. Uh, Developing some of the young guys in New England, but also developed some of the young guys in Tennessee when he was coach over there. So that's where I got Falk going. Although when they just cut Diggs, so it wouldn't shock me if Denzel Boston were to go here also, and you get a receiver to pair up with Matt Collins, and they just got like Ryan Dubes or Daubs from the Packers,
Yeah.
Hunter Henry at tight end, so you get another weapon for Drake May and start building the offense around him. But for now, I think that the defense was solid. It lacked a little bit of a pass rush element, and maybe they can get some juice out of Falk.
Yeah.
The Seahawks also lost a pass rusher with Boy Mafe. So Zion Young from Mizzou is who I got ending the first round right here, going to the Seahawks. So edge back to back to back here to end the draft.
Yeah, I didn't know where I was going to go with the Broncos pick because I really think they could go receiver here, wouldn't you say? I feel like that could be a possibility.
It
Um,
could be because you got like Sutton and
yeah,
who's getting a little older and injury prone, and Marvin Mims, who's
yeah,
like a little small. Yeah.
yeah. So I could see them going there, but instead I'm going to have them go defense, and I'm just going to stick with what I had in the first time, which was Lee Hunter, defensive tackle from
Yeah.
Texas
Love that
Tech.
pick.
I think him going there, it solidifies the interior of that defense, gives you kind of that anchor there. I feel like he's probably the third best D tackle. I also thought about that. I remember the first mock that I put a running back at 28 to the Texans. I'm not going to do that again. Um, 31. This is actually where I think they do go receiver, and I still have Casey Concepcion on my list. And this is where
There
he
you go.
goes to the Patriots, which I think is a great fit. Slot guy makes sense. Patriots, just like a classic thing. While my dog is licking her
A
nads.
black slot instead of a white slot.
Yeah. Fahey.
Interesting.
Can
In
we
New
stop lick?
England.
Can we stop licking our nads, Fahey? Thank you. Goodness gracious,
Yeah,
decency, decency. And then on the last pick here, I kind of tossed around a lot of things, but I haven't. Folk hasn't gone, so this is where I'm going to go. Folk here, to 32 to the Seahawks. So yeah, those are our mock draft. I mean, how do you feel after the second one? I feel a little bit more confident on this one. Still not certain, but I feel
yeah.
confident.
I think once I get to Miami at pick 11 is where I start to be like, dang man,
It's
this is getting
hard.
tricky. Like I feel really good about my top 10. Of course, it's not going to pan out that way because these
It
things
never
never
does,
do. But
except when I got Gardner right at 4.
yeah, but even like my top 10, I changed two picks in my top 10. That's how good about it I feel.
Yeah,
But yeah, once you get to Miami and you can go all those different routes, it's like, man, like that Freeland pick changed a lot, obviously, because then
yeah,
I had, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 all changing from 1.0. And
yeah,
I'm like, man, people are talking about Ty Simpson being a first rounder. I don't have him going in the first round in mock 2.0. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, after 10 is where I start to get like, dang, man, I'm not feeling good about some of these picks. I mean, I like them obviously because I'm making them,
yeah,
but just as far as like the route, you get into like,
yeah,
okay, which direction are they gonna go here?
yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, I'm excited though to kind of look at this in the future. Obviously, we'll have another mock before the draft, so be ready for that. I also want to point out that next week it's going to be one of those episodes where we're going to be having a good old time because we'll obviously have the bracket, which is always a fun time just to kind of go through it
Yeah.
and be so
Why don't we
wrong.
spend a little bit of time right now with one of the more
Yeah,
controversial teams to end our episode here?
of course.
And that, of course, would be the Miami
There
Redhawks
is no controversy. I don't know
out of
what
our
you're
beautiful
talking
state
about.
of Ohio. Okay.
There is no controversy with this.
Well,
They are
the
undefeated.
controversy from the outsiders in Ohio surrounds the fact that what if Miami doesn't win the MAC tournament?
They deserve to go in.
Do they still deserve to go in, even though
Yes.
their strength of schedule is ranked like 300th, and there's Division two
Ye-
teams that have played harder schedules, and
yes.
historically the MAC usually only gets one team into the
Hmm.
tournament anyway.
Yeah.
Would a 32-1 Miami still get in if like
Yes.
Akron's the team that ends up winning the MAC tournament? Ben seems very
100%.
confident that the MAC should get two teams in.
100%. You know why? Because this is why. Because then the regular season doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't
But
matter.
what if
Well,
you
why are
play
we playing the regular
absolutely
season?
nobody worth mentioning in the regular
I,
season?
as someone who was on the staff at Cedarville, I can tell you how hard it is to win every game, even if your team is in a bad conference. There's a reason there's only been like a handful of, there's only been like 20 teams in history to go undefeated in college basketball. Like there's a reason why there is so few that have done it even recent times. Right. I get it. I have people actually I have a teacher at school who went to Miami, Ohio. She's very excited about Miami, Ohio being undefeated. But I told them, I was like, there's a good chance they go undefeated and get beat the first round. There's a very good chance.
There's a
But I
very good
feel
chance that,
but
yeah.
I feel like they deserve, even if they lose to Akron, which by the way, Akron's freaking good as well. So you look at the resumes, yes, they might not have played the top tier teams, but neither did Ohio State really. I mean, Ohio State, as an Ohio State fan, we've beaten we've beaten Purdue. That's it. That's the only good team. Yes, they play in the Big Ten. I get that, but if you look at it, they've only had one good win. Does that deserve? You know what I mean? There's some 14 loss teams. Do they deserve now in? So for me, I look at it as someone who coaches, and I go, if my teams went undefeated in the regular season, and the one loss I have is maybe the championship game of your conference tournament, I feel like you are. I feel like the point of a regular season does not matter anymore because at that point, then you're telling every low market team, even if you go undefeated, Wichita State went undefeated, right? Back in 2012 or whatever it was. Even if that happens, then it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Then it should just not matter, and they could be able to just say, "I just don't want to do anything until the conference tournament. I'll forfeit every game, and then just play the conference tournament." So for me, that's where I get a little riled up because I'm like, this team has put on. By the way, they're the one of the only teams that have gotten averaging 90 points, shooting 50% from the field, and 40% for three. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're playing against a poor competition. It's still Division One basketball, people. It's not like they're playing Division Two, Division Three schools. They're playing Division One teams. Yeah, they might not be that good. Some cases they can't help the conference they're in, right? Could they have played other teams? Probably. But at the same time, they're winning when they have to win. So I can't blame them for that.
I'm a little more of a reluctant yes. I think they should get in. I guess it's just not as confident as you. But when you compare to some of the other bubble teams, like an Ohio State or like an Auburn, and you look at their records, and it's like, okay, maybe Ohio State beats Miami, maybe Auburn beats Miami if they were to play, but they haven't really done a whole lot with their regular season to prove either. Like you
Mm-mm.
said, when you look at the I guess the quality wins on their schedule, where are they at? And the regular season, I agree, has to matter, especially if we're going to have a tournament of 68 teams, I think it is now they're going to get
Or
in.
more
And
at this
and even
rate.
in the past, when you look at the brackets and you're looking at the teams' records and stuff, there you almost never see undefeated teams, even with some of the lower level
Exactly.
conference champs. Like you're seeing like 33-3, or you're seeing like 34-2, or whatnot. Like it's very hard to go undefeated. I think that it was the 2012 Kentucky team might have gone undefeated, and that was insane, especially for playing a SEC schedule and beating all the teams in the tournament that they did. But yeah, undefeated is hard. One loss is also very hard. So even if they go, 32-1 or whatever the record shakes out to be for them, I think they should still be in. Like, of course, or obviously the MAC hasn't ever really gotten any more teams in than one because they haven't really had many more than one team that deserves it other than their conference champ, which usually ends up being like a 14 or 15 seed. So don't be shocked if, number 19 in the country, Miami right now, I think they are in the latest poll, gets in if they're the second team and ends up being like a 15 or 16
Oh,
seed
and then I would be
themselves.
scared to death if you're the number 2 team on that side. You would be
You
like the
got,
one
yeah,
team that you're like, are you
like
serious? This
that's
is the
got
one
to
I
be
get?
the team. That's got to be the go-to team. Like if everybody's looking for
Oh,
like a Florida
100%.
Gulf Coast or St. Peter's, that's got to be your 15 seed that you're circling. But again, this is also like still a hypothetical because we're going into
Yeah.
conference tournament week right now, and Miami very well just could win the whole conference and be undefeated. And this isn't the conversation anymore. But drama does happen sometimes during conference championship week, and I think that
Also, don't
in
listen to
college
Bruce
basketball,
Pearl either. Don't listen to Bruce Pearl telling you what to do
Bruce
on
Pearl
TV.
is a former
God,
Auburn
he's an
coach
idiot.
himself. His son is
Idiot.
also the coach at Auburn. He's got some bias in this, obviously,
But when he
but
says that Miami doesn't deserve it, I'm like, really? Okay. Okay, dude.
yeah.
But yeah.
So all that to say, yeah, that's one of the things to follow, I guess, as we're entering conference
Yeah.
tournament week right here. But it should be a fun,
I,
excuse me,
I think
tournament
that should be the
coming up
question
once again.
down below for people. Put how many you think Josh is going to get right and how many I'm going to get right this year. Just put a number out there. All right. And who's going to win? Because obviously it's going to be me. I won last year. Josh won the year before. So I'm going to win this year. It's the matter of fact. Okay. I'm on a streak now and I'm going to win. I will dominate this. It will not even be close. I don't know why I'm
Do you
saying
have a
that.
team right now that you're feeling confident in? I think two
Yes.
years ago when we picked UConn, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
they're very obviously winning this whole
I,
thing. Last year we were very bullish on Auburn and they ended
I'm
up
on a Duke
not
roll
making
right
it all
now.
the way.
If
You're
Duke
feeling
gets
really good
healthy,
about
I should
Duke?
say, if Duke gets healthy. Right now, I wouldn't say Duke. I would probably lean towards.
I was gonna say Michigan's a team that I'm
I
feeling
don't
good
want to
about too,
choose
but Duke
Michigan.
does.
Yeah, I don't want to pick
Duke
Michigan,
has
but
the talent. I just
yeah,
always am nervous about
yeah,
picking teams that are mostly led by freshmen,
yeah.
although
I would
very
say Duke.
talented and good
Um,
freshmen.
yeah, I would say Duke or even. Um, man, I don't know. Maybe I put Arizona. Arizona's on a roll right now. I put Arizona up there too. They've won like 6 in a row. They're on a roll. So either way, that's where I would go. But anyways,
Yeah.
I want to finish this episode up by just saying thanks you all again for listening. If you love listening to this episode on watching on the podcast on YouTube, click the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. In the comments, make sure you congratulate Josh on getting engaged. It's a big moment for him, the most successful he's ever been in life, even more than with me. So no, congrats to Josh, and then also if you love listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, let us know. And that way we can continue to make this great content. And also, again, let us know who's going to have more. Is Ben going to win it? Is Josh going to win it? Let us know. And until next time, we'll see ya.